Well, the build is finished and today it's time to weigh in. You've seen the canopy, the fit out, the tinny rack, the outboard slide. You've seen all of that come together. With all of that, there was a focus on trying to keep this thing as lightweight as possible. We still want to be able to tow a family off-road caravan legally. And we also wanted to be able to take a tinny with us on our travels, which has proved pretty difficult to do, but more on that coming up. Before all of this recent work, the last time we weighed the D-Max was the start of our Big Lap of WA series. So that's back in 2020. The D-Max weighed in at 3.382 tonne, so just under 3.4 tonne. That was fine at the time because we're only towing a 2.5 tonne caravan, but now we're looking at something bigger, a full-size off-road family caravan. We know we had to shed some weight off the car to make that legal. So the new canopy came in at 236 kilos, which is 20 kilos lighter than the old one. That in itself is not a huge weight saving, but the internal fit out is also substantially lighter. The timber framework and steel drawers we had last time have been replaced with lightweight aluminium stuff. The upright fridge is a lot lighter than the previous drawer fridges we had. And I've gone from 2 lithium batteries to a single 150 amp hour lithium battery. All these things really do add up to become quite a weight saving. Other things I've done is replace the old MCC bull bar we had, which was peeling and rusting and had a hole torn out of it. I replaced that with this PIAC one. There was no weight saving from doing that. They were pretty much the same weight, but at the same time, I removed the steel scrub bars and the side steps, which saved me pretty much bang on 40 kilos. I would like to be able to still run side steps just for some sill protection. I probably don't need to because I don't do any rock crawling or anything too gnarly anymore anyway. This is a family touring vehicle, so probably don't need to be running them. But if I have got the capacity later on, once we've bought the caravan and we've got a final weight, I may put some side steps back on. Another thing I did was replace my steel underbody protection with some Bushskins aluminium bash plates. These cover the whole way from the radiator, the whole way back past the transmission. They only weigh 15 kilos, so by removing the steel ones and fitting these, I actually saved myself 21 kilos. Around that same time, I also removed the roof rack. Now I'm a little bit torn about that because I really like that roof rack, but to be honest, there was never really much on top of it. Generally there was just a shovel and some max tracks up there, both of which can go either in the canopy or on top of the canopy, so removing it saved me 27 kilos, which was probably worthwhile. That's about as far as I've gone at the moment in terms of weight saving. There's definitely other things I can do to shed a little bit of weight, but at this stage I just wanted to weigh it and see where I was at. So just like last time, I filled the long range tank full of diesel. This has got about 130 litres on board, and I also filled my 70 litre stainless water tank that's underneath the canopy full of water right up to the brim. I've loaded the car with recovery gear, tools, spares, fishing gear, dive gear, all that kind of stuff that we plan to tour with. And I've also calculated the weight of Tiff, me, Brody, Chloe, Percy, the kids' car seats, and added quite a big safety margin there because, our trip's not till 2025 with the van in tow. So the kids are going to be, older and heavier, just like Dad. So, pretty nervous about all this, not going to lie. If you've ever weighed a van before a trip or finished a build like this and been here like me on weigh-in day, it's quite a nerve-wracking experience. You want it to all come together. So I've enlisted the help of Darren from SafeWeight WA to help us weigh this thing today. Let's get into it. G'day Darren, how you going, mate?
Good, Cam. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Thanks for coming around.
No worries.
So Darren is from SafeWeights WA.
Yep.
And you're around today to measure the car. And the idea is we're going to figure out what the base weight of the car is. We're probably going to have a bit of a play around with taking the tinny and the boat stuff out, get another set of weights, and then I can figure out what sort of caravan I'll be able to tow.
And keep the family happy.
That's right. So how do we go about doing this?
So basically, as you can see, we'll just set up 4 pads,
Yep.
Electronic control on it. Mm-hmm. We'll wheel you up, we'll take a base weight, then we'll unload your tinny,
Yep.
so we can work out exactly how much your tinny's going to weigh for you. Mm-hmm. And then, as you're saying, we'll unload a few more bits and pieces, see where the weight sits and
Yep.
see where the GVM was and also axle loadings, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Make sure you're all good and legal.
And you will actually be able to print out like an actual certificate with all those weights.
Yeah, we'll give you a print out with all the weights on it. So
awesome.
We'll run before and after, and
yeah,
we'll put one off midway once we start unloading a bit of gear, and give you a good idea of where you're at.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that'll be all good.
So what you do? Cars, you do vans. I suppose you do boats.
Yeah, boats.
Camper trailers.
Camper trailers, anything that you want to put on. cars for rego, for engineering purposes and that. We've been doing a few of them lately.
Of course,
so,
yeah.
Yep.
So this car's got a GVM upgrade now, and when I had to do that, I had to go get a base, like a tear weight.
Tear weight, yep.
And then that's how they recalculate your rego and stuff like that.
Yeah, yep.
So that's something you can do for people as well.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, all printed out and all legal and calibrated, and yeah.
It's definitely going to be a lot easier doing it on the driveway.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit hectic going to some of these public weighbridge stations.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Is it the Qdale one? Is it Qdale or?
Yeah, it's one in Qdale. A lot of people I deal with use that Mandra one, and
okay,
you got to try and build it in with times with when they're free. And
often there's the Qdale one. There's often a line of trucks behind you.
Yep.
And you're stuffing around, dropping the bloody caravan off, and yeah, it gets a bit stressful.
Going out the front to unload it, and they're yelling at you and getting in their way, and
And then sometimes you want to shift a bit of weight just to see how it affects things.
Yep. Yeah, you can spend half a day there quite easy.
Yeah.
And at least with this way we can do it. You can move your weight around. You haven't left home, and
should be good.
It's all good.
We're just going to cook in the sun. That's the only drama today.
Nice and warm, but it's all good.
Should we crack on?
Let's do it. Beautiful. Back a touch, mate. Gently, gently, a bit more. Righto, lock her up there. Ready for your heart attack?
Yeah.
School run time, eh? Yeah. Rightio.
Awesome. Thanks for that, mate.
Thanks, Cam.
Really appreciate that.
That was good. Very interesting.
So now I know exactly where I'm at. Righto, final figures. Now, bear in mind, I'm going to do a video next week explaining what GVM, GCM, axle load limits, tear, ATM, GTM, TBM, and all that kind of stuff is. That's next week. I'm going to use the figures from today and explain how these things relate to one another, define what they are, talk about legalities, and sort of share with you how I've been able to work out what I was able to tow, how much payload's left in my car, all that kind of stuff, so you can do it for yourself. For today, I'm not going to get too bogged down on those acronyms, and I'm just going to give you the figures so that everyone can understand this if you don't have that full understanding of what all those things are. So let's get into it. The car is totally legal as is. The total weight was 3,382 with the tinny and all the boat accessories on board. Without all the boat stuff, it was 3,022 kilos. My max legal weight is 3,500, so it's totally legal with the boat or without the boat. That's obviously before towing anything though. Couple of things to note. That tinny is heavy, like stupid heavy. When I bought it from the dealer, they told me it was 110 kilos, which was already pretty heavy for a roof topper, and I was already quite concerned about all that weight up there on the roof. I specifically asked the salesman if that included the floor that was in it, and he assured me that the floor came from factory, so they weighed the whole thing complete, and that was 110 kilos. He was absolutely wrong, and I just want to reiterate, this was the dealer that told me this, it wasn't Stesco themselves. So, Stesco's not at fault. The dealer is, and maybe I am for not fact checking. But with the help of Darren actually weighing that tinny, it's not 110 kilos, it's closer to 170 kilos. And once I've stuck my esky and the oars and a bit of the trailer that I'd planned to strap into that thing while it's up on the roof, it's up over 200 kilos, which is just mental. It's way, way too heavy, and I'm really annoyed about that. So if we are going to take a tinny on our lap, and it's going to go on the roof of the car, I'll have to swap this tinny out for something lighter. It's quite easy to find something, up to 100 kilos lighter. There are other tinnies around the 80 kilo mark that will probably do what we want to be able to do. So that's something we've got to factor in. Now with my figures from today, I've worked out that without the tinny, we could tow up to a 2.9 tonne caravan. Like I said earlier, there's a couple of things we could do to shed a little bit more weight, like drop the water tank off the back of the car, as we're going to have water in the van anyway. I can remove the winch that's on the front. I can change to aluminium rims to match the, whichever ones come on the caravan we buy. We can remove a couple of drawers from the canopy. You've got to remember that this canopy's been set up, because this lap we're going on, it's 1 year. Primarily this canopy is something that I live out of camping. So it's been set up for solo stuff, boys trips, swag trips, living out of the canopy. With a van in tow, I'd be doubling up on a lot of, cooking gear and stuff like that. So I can quite easily gut a fair bit of weight out of that canopy. Everything bolts in and bolts out on the track that's on the floor of the canopy, and it's really simple to remove things. So if we need to, I'm pretty confident that we can quite comfortably gut about another 200 kilos off the car. That'd give us a heap more wriggle room, and we'll be able to tow up to about a 3.1 tonne van. With the Tinny on top, it gets a little bit more complicated to figure out what we can tow. I'll go into that in a bit more detail next week's episode, but basically what we figured out is that if we remove those few things from the car and we swap the Tinny out for something lighter, we'd be able to tow something up to about 2.8 tonne. So quick recap. Before all the recent work, it was 3,380 kilos. Now it's 3,022 kilos without the Tinny, or 3,382 kilos with the Tinny. So interestingly, we're within 2 kilos of before we did all this work, but that's with the Tinny on top, an outboard motor in the back, fuel for the outboard, and a trailer all inside the car. So you can see it's been quite a mission. We've cut about 300 kilos out of the car from the last build. So with the Tinny, we're looking at vans under 2.8 tonne loaded. That's things like the Jayco Journey Outback or the JB Gator. If we don't take the Tinny, we've got a lot more wriggle room, and we'd be looking at vans up to 3.1 tonne loaded, like the Zone or the Elros. And that's pretty much our dilemma at the moment. We're trying to weigh up, do we go all out and get a really flash nice van like the Elros or the Zone and forego the Tinny? Or do we get a Jayco, JB Gator, something a little bit lighter, and then we could bring the Tinny? I'd love to know what you guys reckon, because this is the thing that's keeping us up at night at the moment. We think we made a decision, and then, you know, we go back on it. So, yeah. Love to know what you reckon. Don't forget, next week's episode, I'm going to put a video out to define tear, GVM, GCM, ATM, GTM, TBM, axle weights, etc., all that stuff for you. We're going to talk about the relevance, how they relate to one another, legalities, and we'll use my figures as an example, and I'll show you how I worked out what my payload and what I could tow was, so that you can make the same calculations for yourself. And if you live in Perth, yeah, speak to Darren from Safeweight WA about getting your car or caravan weighed. Yeah, it was quite a good experience having him here and having the car on the scales and being able to move a few things around and see how it affected the weight. And you'll see Darren again a little bit later on once we've got the van. I mean, there's some fair wait times at the moment, but
yeah.
when we eventually get
this
one,
time next year again, by the way it's going.
probably, yeah. And yeah, we'll get Darren back and we'll measure the whole rig together.
Yeah, balance it up and get it all safe.
All right, cool. Yeah, cheers again, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Cam. Awesome.
All right, thanks, mate.
Cheers.
There's a